Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a service bus topic on Azure and create few subscriptions in it with filters and listen to those subscriptions with your C# Azure Functions application. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is creating the resources that we need on Azure. And I have prepared a small script for it. First, we're going to create the resource group and then the service bus namespace. So I'm going to copy this one and paste it in my PowerShell window. Alright, I have the resources ready. Now let's switch to my Azure portal like this and go into the service bus namespace that we have created. And as you can see, on the left side we have queues and topics. I'm going to click on topics and I'm going to create a new topic like this. So what I'm going to call it is let's say message created. You can add whatever you want here. In size, I'm going to keep it as 1 GB, and TTL is going to be 14 days, and I'm going to keep these things as default here, and I'm going to click create. Now that we have our topic created, let me click on it. Go to subscriptions. As you can see, it's on the left side of the menu, and I'm going to click on create a subscription. And here I'm going to create 2 subscriptions for this demo. The reason that I'm creating 2 subscriptions is because I want to show you that you can have multiple subscriptions for a single topic, and you can subscribe from 2 functions on Azure and you can listen to the topic. And also you can apply filters to these subscriptions as well. So let's see how it all works. I'm going to name this subscription. I'm going to call it function 1. And I'm going to put delivery count as 10, and I'm going to keep all these as default. And then I'm going to create another subscription. Let me call it function 2, and then I'm going to create it as well. Alright, now that I have 2 functions, let's go into Visual Studio and create our function app. Alright, as you can see here, I have created a sample function app, and it's .NET Core 3.1, and that is the target framework version. And I'm going to right click here and add a new function, and I'm going to call it F1. Let's add it. And this is going to be a service bus topic trigger. So here I'm going to name this the connection name I have to provide. So I'm going to call it service bus connection like this, and the topic that I've created is message created, the topic name, and subscription is function 1. So I'm going to enter these things here and I'm going to add the function. As you can see, they all got populated, like message created and the function 1, and this is the name that I have given to my subscription on Azure. And also you can see I have the connection name as well, and I'm going to copy this connection name and I'm going to go into local settings file and insert it as a configuration here. So like this. Now let's go back to my Visual Studio. Now let's go back to Azure portal and go into the service bus namespace like this, and go into these shared access policies, and I'm going to go with the default key. If you want to revoke access for managing and sending, for example, you can just create a new shared access policy here, and I'm going to copy this one and I'm going back to my function app and pasting it here. So that's done. I'm going to close it, and we are ready to receive messages from our topic. And now we need a way to send messages to our topic so that we can test our function that we just wrote. And for that, I have just created a sample Azure Logic App. So here, as you can see, if I go to the designer, it's just as you can see here, it's just sending a message to my topic I've just created. So yeah, I'm just passing in the message created, the name of the topic, and the message that I want my function app to receive. So I'm going into the overview section of the the workflow. And let's run my application. As you can see, it's listening now, and I'm going to trigger this from here. Yeah, as you can see, I am receiving the message like this. So let's stop this function execution and create another function. I'm going to call it function2. And since I have created 2 functions on Azure, and this is what I want to demo as well, because we're working with subscriptions. So I have 2 functions now, and I want to listen to function2 topic, not the topic, the subscription. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep all these as default, but I'm going to change the log of this message of this function. So I'm going to call it F1, and here I'm going to call it F2. And now let's see what happens. Alright, as you can see, we have 2 functions to execute. Let's go back into my Logic App and run the trigger again. Alright, as you can see, we have 2 executions in our Logic App because we have 2 functions. Now that we know how to create 2 subscriptions for one topic, and we actually did it, now let's look into filters on Service Bus Topics. And now I'm in my resource group, and I'm going to click on my Service Bus namespace I've just created. I'm going into topics and the message created topic. And then if I go into the subscriptions section and click on the second subscription, you can see here you can add filters. There are a few types of filters like correlation filters and SQL filters and like that, and there's a default filter called the SQL filter, right? And basically what you can do is you can write filters for filtering out the messages that you receive for each subscriptions. So here you can write expressions that looks like SQL. For example, if you go here, this page contains the type of filters and actions that Azure Service Bus supports. If you go here to the example section, you can write things like this. So basically there are some system properties like sysdot, and there are message properties like this. Basically these are the properties of the message. So you can write this SQL like code here, but I'm not going into much deep. You can come here and look into that. So what I'm going to do is for this function2 subscription, I'm going to now I'm going to add a new filter like this. I'm going to call it disable, and it's going to be something like this. It's 1 = 0. So basically I don't want any messages for my this function2 subscription. So I'm going to save this. As you can see, I have just created that filter. Now let's go back to my Visual Studio project and run this function. And I'm going into my resource group and the Logic App I just created. Let's trigger this one again. As you can see, I'm getting this message only from function 1 that we wrote here, but I'm not seeing a message from function 2, and that is because we have created a filter for that function. Today we've learned what topics are and what subscriptions are, and we wrote a function app to listen to those subscriptions as well, and then we wrote a filter to filter our data. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave down below. And if you want to be updated with future videos that I'm planning to do, you can subscribe to my channel as well. And thanks for watching.